What's up, everybody? Nice line here. Well, anyway, going inside the Little Red Chevy. Oh yeah, if you notice, I got new formats, but well, I only had this for like 3 weeks, so that's why it looked a little dirty. And this side was clean. Anyway, there's something I found out yesterday, or no, last night on YouTube, on some other videos. Now, that would be 355 owners of the Chevy Colorado and GMC Canyon from 2004 to 2012. On the four, so no, actually all the engines except the V8 models. Okay, so anyway, this box, I found out about this box. It's like a resonator box that goes from the intake. So what I found out was that somehow, like, this box produces unwanted hot air that goes through the throttle body, you know, from the intake, which doesn't make any damn sense. Then somewhere in here on the air box, yeah, you see that tube there? Now, I think it's supposed to be, I think it was like 2.5 inch, but on the inside there, I'm not sure if you can see that, but there's like a really, really small tube, like that, well, not supposed to be there. So you're supposed to put like a little duct, like the same size as, like on the air box side, instead of having, like, it looks like a reducer. Yeah. So, anyway, so I'm planning on doing there's a place, I think it was Bellin Industries. See, what to do is like, it's like a resonator box delete, so you remove that one, that box, and then this banjo-like hose, and it'd be like a real pipe, like a mandrel bend exhaust, but for like a pipe, but like plastic. And there's a tube that you're supposed to connect on. They go somewhere on the, I guess, that old crankcase breather somewhere. And then there's another tube that goes somewhere in between, somewhere around the intake. Yeah, so that box just bolts on. So you just go on the side of the engine block. Well, not the engine block, but on by the valve cover. Oh, and then here's another thing. I believe this part is going bad because it gets a little rough idle. Oh yeah, and another thing about that resonator box, it causes a little bit rough idle, and plus it uses up gas. So I'm getting like mid-20s, late 20, you know, from 25 to 28 miles per gallon. So that you know, box in the way, I could at least get 30 or better. Well, anyway, so this thing might be going bad because there's like a little rough idle. So I need to get that changed out. That resonator box sometimes does that, but another thing it'll do, the throttle body plate, that gets dirty sometimes, so I need to clean that out. So tomorrow, my day off, I'm gonna take all this stuff apart and do all that. Well, I doubt I have the time anyway, so I may have to do that some other time. Or if I don't have time tomorrow, I may have to wait until like the 29th and 30th. That's when I had to use up the rest of my PTO time. Yeah, some companies you have until like the January 30th. You have until December 31st to use up the remaining PTO time, peak time off. But in this company I'm now, you have to use it before January 31st. So there's like 12 more hours on there. So I told them I actually take like another full day instead of the head day. Because I need to go to the doctor to get an appointment. Yeah, so I did the oil change recently, so that's why the oil filter look new. It's from AC Delco. Oh, and then there's some other things I found out about, you know, this engine. The water pump is right there in that big pulley, but you have to like remove the top piece of the fan shroud and then get the belt off, and then get the fan blade off along with the fan clutch. It's those 4 bolts that you have to take off. And then underneath of that will be the water pump, and then there's some other bolts that are, well, they're easy to get to, so it's not like in these older inline engines with the single red cam where you have to take apart the timing belt and the, you know, tensioner and then the case and all that other junk. So at least you don't have to take it out or anything. I mean, because the timing belt's like right on the inside, it's like in this area where the oil cap is at. Oh, and then I found out the starter is like way in there. Now, some people were saying something about move the intake out of the way, which I think you shouldn't have to do that. So another person was suggesting you take the front wheel out of the way and take this whole splash guard out, and you should be able to get it to from right over there behind, you know, where that strut tower is at, like right through in there. You should be able to have better access to it. And, oh man, it seems like I rub onto the curb with the sidewall, so I need to clean that up good. Oh, and then about the resonator box, I found out that Yukon even has one. I still got the factory air box. You know that box that says Vortec in the back? Now, like where the throttle body's at, that has to be removed. So you can put like a cap in there with a hose clamp to cap that off. So I'll probably show you guys on the next video. So far we don't have time for that now. And looks like I had to get rid of some of these leaves and pine needles that just keeps on piling up in the engine bay, which I can't stand. Yeah, well, I did a year ago. I had to bend this piece of metal out because it's like that corner is very sharp. You know, you could slice your arm. The reason why I do that is because I got the clutch master cylinder down there. So like if I need to check the fluid or even top it off, or you know, bleed out the clutch fluid, you know, I wouldn't have to risk you know, scraping my arm in there, because there was another guy that did it on his, and I know he wasn't paying attention, and oh man, he freaking sliced his whole arm. It was like about 4 or 5 inches long. Yeah, so I don't want to do that. Oh yeah, and then the good thing is that, well, that's the heater core hoses, so that's easy to get to, so in case I had to do a back flush. Yeah, but this clamps, ooh, wow, I got a special tool. It's like pliers that is connected to a cable. They kind of pull it out in case it's hard to reach. Excuse me. Yeah, so it's at 129,000 miles, so I'm just waiting until like 150,000 miles when it hits, just to change that air filter and then do the coolant flush. Yeah, in the meantime, like, well, I'll get that resonator delete kit, keep the air box until when I get the truck paid off, then I just get that Vlant colder intake and do what I need to do. Yeah, the radiator hoses only they're in good shape, so I don't think I'm gonna change them out just yet. So I'll probably just wait until it's 200,000 miles and I do that. Plus, you have to change the spark plugs and that, you know, cold packs. Yeah, essentially, if you're gonna do spark plugs in the 12 packs that's underneath that resonator box, I mean, with that resonator delete tube that goes there, well, that box will be right out of the way, and it won't be so much stuff to take out of the way just to get to the spark plugs on top of the valve cover. Yeah. So anyway, folks, this be all for right now. So we'll show you in. We haven't got to the first karaoke video of the year. Well, we tried to. Henry filmed it, but I don't know, something happened. It didn't go completely recorded, so we may have to try that again later. So whenever, if I didn't have to go in the next day, I think I have a Saturday off next Saturday, so I'll probably try to do that, you know, next week sometime. All right, guys, that'll be all. Later.